Okay, now we will face the flag for flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll have a roll call, please.
Chairwoman Kern, Commissioner Ballas was having some technical difficulties. He should be on in a moment. And Commissioner Bertino is in a location that he cannot turn his video on, so he will be audio today.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Mhm.
Oh, there's Commissioner Ballas.
Okay. Ballas?
Here.
Bertino?
Here.
Corsi? I thought I saw Commissioner Corsi. Days? Commissioner Days? I see him, so I'm going to mark him present. Commissioner Fitzpatrick?
Here.
Commissioner Gatto?
Here.
Commissioner Risley?
Here.
And Commissioner Kern.
Here. Okay, the commissioners have had an opportunity to review the minutes from January 19, 2021. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the January 19, 2021 minutes as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, motion been made in second. Any comments from the commissioners? Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ballas?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Corsi? Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Gatto?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Kern.
Yes, motion carries. As a reminder for those who have been here and to the people who are new, anyone that would like to speak during public comments, please type yes and the resolution number or ordinance number in the question and answer box. Any items not listed on the agenda, you may speak during public comments. You'll be raised from an attendee to a panelist. When you're raised, please state your name and the town you reside. Okay, so we are going to start with the Atlantic County Shared Services Coordinator, Frank Formica, who will now give us an update on Atlantic County Shared Services. Welcome.
Welcome. Can you hear me?
We can.
Well, it's good to be here. I first want to thank the county executive, Dennis Levinson, and the administration for giving me a chance to continue to serve the people of Atlantic County. And I want to thank the commissioners, each and every one of you, for supporting the efforts that we're trying to put forward in increasing shared services. I think it would be good, I thought it would be good to ask to be here today, since I've learned a lot in the last 8 weeks or so about the Local Efficiency Achievement Program that we call the LEAP program. There were sort of a little bit of misunderstandings. I have to say that Rick Riccadella from the DCA, who is the commissioner overseeing the LEAP program for New Jersey, and Ellen Brennan have been phenomenal in asking questions. I'm sure they may cringe a little bit when they see my phone call, but I've been trying to get the best perspective on how these grants can be applied. To be specific, New Jersey, through legislation, I believe, from Senate President Sweeney, put aside $10 million to be distributed to 21 counties, and they came in two forms. There was a challenge grant for $250,000 that Atlantic County took advantage of to try to initialize a county-wide court system. That court system, by the way, as of this morning, had up to 17 willing applicants. And so it really passed the critical stage of having 14. And then the next grant that comes under this LEAP program, it's called the Implementation and Feasibility Grant. There was some discussion that there was only one grant per county, there was only 3 grants per county. I've been corrected, and each municipality that wants to work with additional municipalities, or each municipality that wants to work with a county, can make an application for $150,000. There was a indication that there was a deadline of last Friday. That's been corrected. The implementation grant will have a rolling deadline up to June 30th. So it's important, I think, to publicly state some of the things that I've been working on and to try to get some discussion going from the commissioners and from their constituents concerning what could this possibly, what possibly could we take advantage of to make government more efficient. On the line today may be Commissioner Rick Riccadella. I don't know if he's signed on yet, or Ellen Brennan, but I asked them to also join us in case there are any technical questions that I could not answer. I have not received my training yet due to circumstances with the COVID and everything else. There wasn't a feasible way to do that until March the 16th and 19th. So I hope after that I'll have more information to give everyone. But I reached out to all all the city municipal mayors in the county, administrators to see if there were any discussion that they would like to have concerning this grant. I tried to explain it the best that I could. Brigantine Taxpayers Association, Ann Phillips, just wants to have a meeting to discuss any possibility. Brigantine is one of the municipalities that has already agreed to do the shared services. Estelle Manor has an interesting feasible application that they're trying to put together. And that is, they have 20.2 miles of county road going through Estelle Manor, and it's at the end of the county. And they would like the permission to acquire a dump truck with a snowplow apparatus so that they could enter into a shared service with the county to plow their own roads. And that application is viable and it's being put in place. And they would get remunerated at the same shared service contract rate that Brigantine, Ventnor, Margate, and Longport already do. Port Republic is interested, of course, in the courts, and they also want to see if there's something that they could share services possibly with Galloway. A larger project is that Mike Fedorko, our public safety officer, has suggested that it would be feasible to finally have a centralized dispatch for fire and EMS. And we are looking at a space that was being used at the Canale Center. It was previously classrooms for our training, police training, that we would not require us to buy a building, would not require us to do much retrofitting, and could achieve better public safety through a centralized fire dispatch, as well as saving a lot of the municipalities' funds. Sheriff's Department also would like to have a try at doing that through the sheriff's office. We were going to discuss that this week. Buena Borough has many interests concerning their fire department combining their EMS and some other services, possibly with Buena Vista and the 3 other municipalities that are near them. Mullica Township mayor and council are looking at their administration as possibly being joined with Hamilton. And they have a very aggressive idea that still needs to be meted out. Longport and Margate definitely want to share their services with the EMT fire department. I mean, with the courts, excuse me, I want to correct myself on that. And then Galloway Township is considering joining our ACUA. And that would mean that there would be an expense to each one of the homeowners there to acquire the toters that have to go into place. There are a few others, but larger ones like countywide assessment haven't been discussed yet. And, standardization of school curriculum or school board consolidation has not been discussed yet. This is a favorite of the program managers from the DCA, school board consolidation. It's a favorite of Senate President. And I understand a suite of bills were put into the legislation today, were put in as bills today to give great incentives for that. For example, the county of Salem now only has one school district. That happened this fall. I believe there are only 7. Certainly, they're a county of only 65,000 people. It's a far cry from the 270,000 here, but it is something that is being looked at. So I thought it'd be important to say, well, then how does it work? I mean, so Estelle Manor wants to buy a dump truck and put a plow on it and have a shared service with the county. So they would apply for the cost of that dump truck and that plowing apparatus. The DCA has a team that meets and it's competitive contracts. They look and see which ones are the best benefit to the town. But there also has to be a feasibility. So there is a cost there to, there has to be some in-kind match by the municipalities. It doesn't necessarily have to be money. So there has to be some showing that the previous condition of services cost a certain amount of money. The shared services will cost a certain amount of money. And there's a net cost benefit to the shared service, to the recipients of the shared service. In the case of combining services and departments where there's no purchase of any type of equipment, there certainly is going to be an expense for the city manager's time. There's going to be expense for attorneys. There's going to be expense for, maybe the follow-up, the setup, who's ever going to be managing the shared service. So all of that would be in kind on the municipality's part or the county's part, like as far as having to meet some kind of match to get the actual grant. The Atlantic County court system right now is a huge endeavor because it involves several judges, attorneys. There's going to be some auditing that has to be done. Just getting the numbers of the costs of each individual municipality's cost, and if they're making money, is a huge undertaking from an accountant's perspective. And Atlantic County is hoping to get remunerated from its $250,000 application for the challenge grant. So that's basically a little debrief of what I've been doing as far as meeting with people, meeting with municipalities, and trying to generate ideas, and at the same time become more aware of things that are feasible under the LEAP program. So I would certainly wish there would be some discussion here from the public or from the commissioners and, see if we can make it even better.
Okay, so what I'm going to do prior to the commissioners with any questions or comments, I'm going to just remind the public, once again, this is the same as any resolution or ordinance. If you want to speak to Mr. Formica or have any questions for him on the shared services, type yes in the question and answer box and just put shared services or SS right next to it, whatever is easiest for you. So right now I'll entertain any comments or questions from the commissioners.
Madam Chair,
Yes, please, Ms. Bertino.
thank you. Just a couple of quick comments too. In my district that I represent, we've been pretty much leading the way with Buena Borough, as Mr. Formica stated. Buena Borough, Buena Vista, Folsom, Egg Harbor City, Mullica now. They've jumped on board with the opportunity especially for the size of their municipalities, to try to coordinate and consolidate where they can and save their taxpayers money. It's been very beneficial for them. Buena Borough led the way with a court system first, and then they even outsourced the police department, and they're very happy with the way that's gone. So I commend the county for moving in this direction. Obviously, you can see that it's what the municipalities want, and that's what I think for those of us that are in government, if you want to control costs, that's going to be a good way to start. So I compliment the program that they're working on, and I look forward to seeing it continue and prosper.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do I have any other commissioner comments or questions for Mr. Formica? Commissioner Fitzpatrick?
Thank you, Chairwoman. Mr. Formica, I was wondering if you had anything to tell us about the shared services of the tax assessors. We've been talking about that for some years now. Is anything happening there?
You know, it's right on my list here, and I did not mention it, Commissioner. And certainly there is discussion on that. And it's just something that we haven't really sat down yet with, but it certainly is. I always thought it was a good idea. And it's certainly something that was wide open for discussion and input. And, you know, I will give you an update as I start to have discussions with the individual municipalities again. I just want to let everybody know that DCA Commissioner Rick Riccadella is on the call. So if you want a more technical answer to questions or any explanations, he'd be willing to make a comment as well. But to answer your question directly, Commissioner, yes, that is definitely on the list of consideration. Countywide assessment is definitely there.
Okay, and I have one more to add to your list of things to do, if you don't mind. Recently, the
don't.
governor mandated that climate change plans be added to all the municipalities. What are they called? The master plans. And I thought that was a good opportunity for shared services as well.
It's an excellent idea. One of the things I've been discussing is community solar. So where you could actually have areas that you couldn't put a bunch of solar panels on a bunch of row homes or what have you, or you had some space that was absolutely a roof or some space that was absolutely unusable. And we're exploring the possibility of putting community solar around to reduce the carbon footprint that the utilities put out, the fossil fuel burning utilities. And we're just looking at the hurdles that are there because certainly the utilities want to limit at this point for some reason the amount of solar generated as we look at the wind that's coming in. But I'd be more than glad to discuss that, you know, as a possible shared service.
And additionally, like rules regarding different improvements that towns may have rather than doing them individually. For example, impervious road coverings like cement driveways and things like that promote flooding, don't allow water to seep away, whereas gravel or stone covered driveways allow water to seep away. Some municipalities are making those things against code, and that doesn't make any sense to me. So
Yeah, well, also in that, I don't know how we make that a shared service, but it's a great idea. Right now, the biggest problem with renewable energy are the power companies now putting up roadblocks to allow connection to the grid. So it's almost the same type of an argument. Making it into a shared service is something that we'd have to think about. But as one other thing I forgot to mention, that was in Galloway, there is going to be a shared service between the county and Galloway on just that problem, a terrible problem with water runoff for too much impervious surface. As you get to 6th Avenue there, where the development is near their Galloway Township municipal building, it's creating an awful problem because of too much impervious surface. So we're familiar.
okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Do I have any other comments from our commissioners or questions for Mr. Formica?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Thank you. Hey, Frank, it's great to see you back on the screen here. Sounds like you've done a lot of great work going on. Just wanted to know, I think we still have on the list, and maybe Sonia can correct me if I'm wrong, a subcommittee associated with central dispatch discussion. And just wondering if that subcommittee could be engaged as you re-explore that issue. It was something I was heavily involved with when I was on the municipal side. So I definitely would love to be part of that discussion having the perspective of the questions we had from the municipal side and the answers we were getting from the county at the time, and now being on the county side.
Well, I think that discussion will be great. I'll be more than glad to travel or to, get on a Zoom with anybody that's discussed it, who wants to discuss it. Certainly, if we could get the centralized fire dispatch up and running, that could be a good segue into countywide dispatch. But I'll be more than glad to see what possibilities we can discuss.
Okay, thank you.
That's it.
Thank you.
Any comments or questions for Mr. Formica?
Madam Chair?
Yep. Commissioner Ballas?
Yes. So Frank, I think you're doing a phenomenal job. Again, I was heavily involved with the centralized dispatch as sheriff, and I still think it's a viable issue here in Atlantic County, and to do it without police, I think we might be just spinning the wheels. If we can get the police on board, we talked before about expanding some areas of the sheriff's office, being able to do it out of there, or. But I'd like to stay, involved discussion we're going to have with that, and see if someday we can bring that to fruition. It's been talked about for the last 40 years.
Frank, I remember, Commissioner, I remember the work you did. I remember you bringing down the sheriff of Monmouth County and explaining how it would work. We all believed in it. Ultimately, we just couldn't pass muster with the chief of police at the time, and I'm not blaming anybody. It just is, I want to make a statement here that I didn't make. None of these shared services or ideas for shared services can ever be, just imbued upon a municipality. It all has to be voluntary. There has to be absolute resolutions of support from the constabulary of that municipality. So that's what happened at the last time we spoke about it. If there's any discussions concerning centralized dispatch, Commissioner Gatto, Commissioner Ballas, I'd be more than glad to reach out when you tell me. You can lead me as to any discussions that are going to go. It is certainly one that we proved would save lives and money. And I don't know if our Director of Public Safety, Mike Fedorko, wants to weigh in here, but Madam Chair, but it would certainly be something that I would be willing to look into. I mean, the three big ones, would be centralized dispatch, countywide assessment. There are two that would be just tremendous. But, we're taking them as we go. We're trying to make everything proportionate to what this grant offers. When just go back to the countywide assessment, Commissioner Fitzpatrick's questions. When we were looking at that, we were looking at a Gloucester model. And at that time, what nobody knows is, or what few people, I mean, you may all know, but what few people know at the time was there was $11 million in the shared services fund in 2008 or 9. And Gloucester was lucky enough to get like 8 million of it. So, I mean, it made a smooth transition. I'm not casting any, disparaging marks about anything, but as incentives come along, as they look like government's trying to do, we can get some of these things done.
Okay. Thank you. Did you want
Hello,
Mr.
if I may.
Fedorko? Okay.
Chairman?
Yes. Yep, Commissioner. Go ahead.
Listen, so I was on the county assessment committee and the county dispatch committee. And my biggest thing is, as a commissioner, is I never wanted to impose something on a municipality that isn't best for that municipality. Has there been any discussion on the state level to not punish the municipalities, but benefit them in some way, some state aid? And I hate to use that, word, the 4-letter F word, to make it fair, but that's the biggest detriment to this has been not every municipality is equal, and they're going to all be affected differently. What is on the state level to offset how they're impacted? And if they join in, let's say, county dispatch or county assessment, which the state shouldn't control, the county should control that. how we kind of make these municipalities whole, or make it seem more, I guess, legitimate or a better idea for them. Has that been discussed at all? Because that's the issue is they all want their, and I don't blame them because they're all going to be affected differently.
Well, if I could say this,
How they can all benefit from these on a statewide level instead of under Sweeney's path of progress mandating they join or out.
well, if I could just say that I'm very familiar with what you're talking about. We had a situation where there was going to be some type of combined services in one township, and that mayor threatened the fire department if they combined their services, they would not have enough money to buy a fire truck. And I discussed this with the Rick Riccadella. I don't know if there's any incentives that can make things better. At this point where we're at, to keep this sort of grounded, the idea is to try to get these ideas onto paper as some type of plan, get a grant applied for, and take advantage of the money that is there. And I mean, maybe in the grant, there is a way to remunerate what you would consider to be an offset. Madam Chair, I don't know if you got Commissioner Riccadella there, but he may be able to answer some of that.
Madam Clerk, is he here?
He is on, and he has the ability to unmute himself and speak.
Okay.
He's unmuted.
Okay.
You can speak, Mr. Riccadella.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Because it doesn't say mute on it. Good evening, everyone, all the commissioners. I'm sorry I got on late. I was working with Monmouth County on one of their shared services and issues that came up. A pleasure working with the counties and your coordinator, who has been very anxious to get some of these programs off the ground. To speak of the commissioner's issue with regard to punishment, it may sound like that or feel like that, but I think what we try here at the state is to look at it to say that it's an enhancement, that we want to enhance the service, make it better than it is now. Yes, there are some issues where some employees may be hurt from it, but under our administration, we try to do things through attrition or soft landings. A perfect example is in speaking with your county attorney. We've talked about this Atlantic County Regional Court Program. They put in for a grant. And my thoughts are, if there's some people who are presently working in the courts now, that we try and find them jobs in their municipalities or someplace else if they're going to be hurt by us doing this regionalization. So attrition and soft landings has been our slogan. And I can tell you that we have lived by that. I did a shared service for Lake Como and Belmar for the police department, and there were 3 officers that Belmar did not take, and we found jobs for those officers. So I don't think we should look at this as punishment, but I think you should be looking at it to the taxpayers that we're enhancing their service and we're providing some resilience during this pandemic. And we all know it's been very, very difficult. And I think we need to stand up at one certain point to explain to them that we need to enter into some of these shared services. As your coordinator has stated, there is $10 million that the good governor has put in his budget for both 2020, and then again, he just put in another $10 million for 2021, 2022 for shared service and LEAP programs. So if you wanted to get the assessor program off the ground, or you wanted to revisit the centralized fire dispatch as a viable issue, they have startup costs, rebranding costs that we can provide up to $150,000 to assist in these programs. So I think the main thing is the state wants to be a partner with the municipalities and or the counties to get these shared services off the ground, and we're willing to go above and beyond to try and get these things in place for you.
Thank you, sir. Do I have any other questions, comments for Mr. Formica from the commissioners? Seeing none, do we have any questions or comments from the public?
No questions from the public, Chairwoman.
Okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate the update, Mr. Formica, and hope to see you back again soon. You're muted.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure being here, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Thank you. Okay. That brings us to Pat Diamond, our Atlantic County Health Officer. Very busy lady these days.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Commissioner briefing, March 2nd. Cases, cumulative Atlantic County-wide positive COVID-19 cases to date are 21,940, up from 20,890 reported to you on February 16th. There are, fortunately, 11,072 people reported as being cleared from isolation. There continues to be a decrease in the number of COVID-19 cases. This past 2 weeks, cases have been in the low 500s, down from the 679 reported to you at our last briefing. Work continues with the contact tracers' goal of reaching cases within 24 hours of receiving the positive case report. This is necessary to continue to contain the spread. And so what we don't want to see happen is we don't want to see these numbers plateau, like remain in the 500s. So even by little, they decrease. That's what we really want to continue to see. We also, for the past 2 weeks, the COVID-19 activity level report has moved down from high to moderate, which is the schools use as a guide as far as how they implement protective measures for their students and staff, which means lower cases and lower percent positivity in the Southeast region. Unfortunately, there has been 553 deaths in the county, up from 511 reported last time. This is a continued reminder of how serious this disease can still be. And daily updates continue to be posted daily at aclink.org. Now, our vaccination, we have the Atlantic County Division of Public Health given close to 7,000 first and second doses here at Stillwater and at the Atlantic Cape Community College. We are finishing up second doses this Friday at the Atlantic Cape College. We have moved some of our vaccinator resources to the Atlantic City Convention Center mega site, which opened to the public on January 22nd. The daily number administered at the mega site continues to climb. Now, at the mega site, it's not only our vaccinators, our Medical Reserve Corps vaccinators, Atlantic Care vaccinators, but it's also supplemented by federal medics that are actually, they are on loan for a 2-week period of time, and they provide vaccinations. So there is a lot of support there. And their goal is to administer 4,000 a day. They're now currently doing 2,000 first doses and over 1,000 second doses each day. And in Atlantic County, as of today, there has been a total of 69,000 first and second doses of COVID-19 vaccine administered to our residents. Now, this is an increase of over 25,000 doses reported to you at our previous briefing on February 2nd. Atlantic Care on their website continues to offer scheduled vaccination appointments for Tuesday at 3, Thursday at 6, and Saturdays at 9. And as reported to you on February 16th, we asked the state to address individuals that are homebound, having difficult time getting to a site. We requested that if J&J vaccine were to be approved, that we receive doses for our county residents. This vaccine is easier to handle than Moderna and Pfizer in that it can be kept at refrigerator temperatures and is less sensitive to vibrations when being transported from home to home. And it only requires 1 dose to be protective. I am pleased to report today that we received 500 doses of the J&J 1-dose vaccine. The Division of Public Health is partnering with our Division of Intergenerational Services for distribution first to home-delivered meal recipients and onto other populations that may be experiencing difficulty in accessing vaccine due to lack of transportation and computer access. Also, yesterday, the state has set up a number, 856-249-7007, to help schedule seniors 75 years in age and older at certain locations in the state. And I personally tried the number myself, was able to get through, and they had access to appointments. However, the sites that are available are in Vineland and in Mullica Hill. That's in Gloucester County. However, more sites will be open at ShopRites and Walmart soon. And then on March 15th, as probably many of you know, that the eligibility will increase to include pre-K to 12 educators and staff, child care workers, transportation workers, additional public safety workers, and additional high-risk individuals. So within 2 weeks, there'll be more people that will be eligible for making appointments to receive the vaccine. Testing is on the decline, and it's mostly really related to people being more interested in getting vaccinated. But we still have testing at the specific locations that are listed on our website, and also pop-up locations as well. Currently, there is a site at the Atlantic City Convention Center that continues to operate Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, and we'll be there through March to offer free testing for anyone that's interested. And that is my report, Commissioner, for today. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them.
I see it. Is she on mute?
Oh,
Mr. Chair,
I'm on mute. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Pat Diamond?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner.
let the record reflect that I have logged in. I am present. And I wanted to ask Pat, she indicated she got 500 or 5,000, the J&J, a shot. I missed the back of it, so I'm trying to
Five.
repeat that.
There were 500 doses, Commissioner. I wish there was 5,000.
Okay, how do you,
The state,
sorry.
the state determined the number that we had received.
And how do you determine who gets that J&J?
Well, we had looked at the hard to reach populations as far as people that are unable to access the sites because of lack of transportation, lack of computer access. And the homebound residents receiving home delivered meals was a population that clearly don't have access. You know, they're receiving a meal because they're not able to access certain things because of a disability or lack of transportation. So that number we currently have are actually 500. There's 150 residents in Atlantic City and 350 in the rest of the county. And we work closely with our intergenerational services to confirm that number. And, you know, we are working on reaching out to them by phone to see if they have received a vaccine and if they would be interested in receiving one.
So, out of the 500, do you expect to get any more anytime soon? That's one question. Then the second thing is, you indicated those who are homebound, basically, you're trying to reach out to them. With 500, that's not going to take you far, whether it's Atlantic City, Pleasantville, Margate, Longport, et cetera. So I don't know, is it a first come, first served basis?
Well, we have.
Okay.
We will be asking for more. With this J&J vaccine, we're not really sure, you know, when we will receive more doses. Okay, but we always advocate, along with Jerry Del Rosso, more vaccine. The problem with J&J is they were able to release several thousand to the state, I think upwards to 70,000. However, the manufacturing of more vaccine really won't occur till mid-March, and we may not be able to see more of this particular vaccine until the end of March. But these individuals will be contacted by phone and will be asked. Many of them may have already received a vaccine, many of them may not care to have a vaccine. So we're just going to be going through that 500 and then moving on to other populations that may have access.
Okay, well, I have one more question, Madam Chair, if I may, to Pat. Pat,
Sure.
I don't know how you can do it. I'd certainly like to get a breakdown of how once those 500 are divvied out, because if they did 70,000 in Atlantic City, Atlantic County only had 500, that's a slap in the face. And I do know there are some people who would rather have the Johnson & Johnson than the Moderna or the other one. But the 500 is basically a slap in the face, however that was divvied up out of 70,000. So I know it's statewide probably, but there are people who'd rather have the 70, I'd strike that, they would rather have the Johnson & Johnson. But like Dr. Fauci said, one of the three that you can get your hands on it and get it. But I know that there's a big cry out there for the Johnson & Johnson. I was fortunately, my colleagues, over the weekend, I was able to make contact, and they were asking for 65 and older. And I think out of 22 people, I think 19, maybe 20 of them were able to get in yesterday and today to get the first shot. But that just happened to have been the stroke of the pen, or lucky at the right time, at the right place. A lot of people want it now because they're starting to get educated on it. The Black and brown communities, Hispanic communities, they were afraid, did not want it. Now that you see, they're now more inclined to take the vaccine shot,
Yeah.
which is good. And we certainly encourage that, but we know that in the African American community and the Hispanic community, it was a standoff for a long time.
Right. Yes, and we don't see a large turnout, say with flu vaccination. So, with populations in those communities. So it is quite comforting to know that they feel more comfortable with the vaccine and they're seeking the vaccine. And we will certainly do all our best to get it out to them. And we hear you with the 500, and we certainly advocate for more.
Thank you, Pat.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Gatto?
Thank you. Pat, just wondering if there's been any conversation with the release of the enhanced eligibility for teachers and public transportation workers, which, by the way, I'm totally in favor of, but it concerns me that it's going to further flood the appointment days, the appointment release days, where people are still trying to sign up seniors for vaccines. So just wondering if there's been any discussions with the state about trying to administer vaccinations to our educators and transportation employees through their employers, so that we, again, aren't kind of putting them all in the queue with everybody else trying to get a vaccine appointment for seniors in our area.
That has been brought up to the state. That concern has been expressed by various entities throughout the state, and they are working on a plan for that. But right now, I'm not really sure, if there will be one. But it is noted that, with this enhanced eligibility, that will you're looking at, again, more of a demand than a supply. So we're hoping that the supply catches up quickly.
I made my thoughts known to the state as well, but I'm just hoping that you will be engaged in some kind of conversation to help that situation. So thank you.
Thank you. Do I have any other questions or comments from the commissioners? Commissioner Days?
Madam Chair? Yeah, so Pat, to kind of follow up on that comment, I know the state is releasing their eligibility requirements for who's able to get the vaccine. I've been told by multiple people that when they register for the site in Atlantic City through Atlantic Care, they're not asking for any pre-existing conditions or any requirements according to the state eligibility. And with the failure of the state vaccination website, there are people getting through, and again, I'm not judging them, but there are people getting through that maybe shouldn't be according to what the governor is saying. Is there an educational program or any way to guarantee that people who aren't eligible or not getting vaccinated? Because I've heard from multiple people who are 65 plus or with underlying conditions who can still not get appointments, and they're a little concerned about the governor opening up. And again, I was all for, and Commissioner Ballas and I had a resolution on today's agenda opening up to the educational staff. But, the concern is that Atlantic Care isn't, designating who's eligible and who's not.
Well, it is. So what you're saying is that they don't actually have a list of those pre-existing conditions or an age factor as far as who may be eligible for the vaccine. That's not a part of their education when they register, when they make an appointment. Because when they register on the state scheduling system pre-register, it lets them know whether or not they meet the particular group that would be getting vaccinated now, or they may defer to a later time if they don't meet that. So that does exist there. But once they make an appointment, they are thought to actually have accessed the site because they have answered that they meet that criteria. And it is a self-reported response. It's not something that's challenged. Even when, we have our site, we would put the criteria on our site when we had our appointments. And if a person presented itself, you can ask them as far as, if they're clearly under the age of 65, what pre-existing condition brings them here.
Right, and so there's a misconception out there that the AC mega site has no conditions as far as who's eligible. And again, I'm not trying to condemn anyone who may have registered not knowing that.
I will check that. I will review that with the coordinator to see if that's the first time I've heard that, actually, that when they actually make an appointment, they're not listed there, so that they know to make sure that they are eligible. But I will ask for that, certainly.
Again, right, I'm not trying to judge anyone but that's,
Yeah, no.
really, that's the problem that's resulted from the state's, vaccination site, I guess, failing, and we're left to every single vaccination site has their own plan and their own, process. So,
Well,
thank you.
thank you. I definitely will have that conversation with Atlantic Care. I didn't know that.
Thanks, Pat.
Mm-hmm.
Do any other commissioners have any questions or comments for Pat Diamond?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Ballas.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Pat, first of all, I just want to say thank you for everything that you and your staff are doing. I just have two quick questions. One, are they keeping statistics as to mega site residents of Atlantic County that are getting vaccinated opposed to outside the county that are getting vaccinated at the site?
They may be, but what's appearing on the dashboard is just the Atlantic County residents that have been vaccinated, not necessarily where. The mega site provides numbers of how many are vaccinated, not from where they are vaccinated, not from where they are, not from where they're from. They have to be New Jersey residents, or they have to live, work, or go to school in New Jersey. That's the criteria that is used. But as far as that statistic, I'm not sure if they're keeping that.
Okay, yeah, it just appears that there's a lot of non-county residents and some non-state residents that are being vaccinated there. But
again, it could be a non-state, Commissioner Ballas, if in fact that they may go to school here or work here. So that would be acceptable.
right, or use an address here.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's just the human nature. That's going to happen. But the other thing is, there's a lot of concern from people in the western part of the county, seniors that cannot drive all the way to Atlantic City to get the vaccine, and they may not be homebound, but they use they used to use the nutrition sites that are around the county. Is there any way that if and when we get more vaccine that can be transported, that you can set up something for your office to go maybe to each nutrition site, maybe over a month's period or something to vaccinate seniors that can make it to the nutrition sites, not so much, you going to their house.
Right. Commissioner Ballas, you have read our mind. That was actually our next approach was, once we go through one population, then we're targeting another population, and we'll continue to go through them.
Okay. Yeah. The seniors are getting very frustrated.
Yeah.
As you know, a lot of them aren't real good on the computer, and there's some municipalities that are helping out to get appointments for seniors. But as that becomes more well known, it just blocks out other people that are trying to do it on their own.
Well, we would be calling them the same as the home delivered meals, because what's fortunate that we have is our intergenerational services. They periodically check up on the individuals that attend the nutrition sites. To see how they're doing, and also to see if they want to get a home delivered meal, because most don't, but some then do decide to become a home delivered meal recipient. So we do have a pretty good connection with their clients. So we would be calling them.
Okay, great. Appreciate it. Everyone understand it's a supply and demand. Right now everybody wants it, and there isn't a whole lot that are here. And again, like Commissioner Corsi said, with 70,000 coming into the state, that should have been 3,300 to each municipality if they just said, you know, we're going to give the same amount to each county. But, you know, and even if they did it by population, we still got shortchanged. So somehow they're going to need to step up their game with getting more vaccines down to us.
And that might just be their first round of distribution, because we had a plan ready to go. You know, what are you going to do with it? This is our plan. So, you know, we're hoping that, you know, that would just be our first round of distribution of this batch.
Right. And again, and my concern, which has been since the mega site opened up here, you know, I don't want our county getting shortchanged because we have a mega site here in our county. You know, we should still be, you know, being able to get our allotment to the county for us to be able to do what we need to do, because you can't restrict it, you know, at the mega site.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have any other questions or comments from our commissioners this evening? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, do we have anybody in the audience that would like to speak?
Yes, we do. We have 3 questions from the public. The first is, and I don't know if we need to raise Mr. Pogue, but he typed in, could Ms. Diamond repeat the phone number for seniors over 75?
Okay, sure. It's 856-249-7007. And that just came out early this week, Mr. Pope.
The next is Michelle Brunetti, who will be raising to a panelist. She has a question.
Hi. Whoops. Wait a minute.
Hello.
Hi, Michelle.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. The 500 J&J shots, was that the very first J&J we've received here?
Yes. We're very excited.
Okay. And the other thing I wanted to ask was, I get a lot of phone calls from folks like today. I got a call from a guy who is being currently treated for cancer, and he's having a lot of trouble getting an appointment. He said, you know, it's hard for him to sit there for hours. It takes, I'm hearing from people, it takes a really long time on the computer to get your appointment. So I'm wondering, do you have any longer term plans to target either, you know, folks in treatment for more serious diseases to help them get vaccinated?
Well, we're looking at people, you know, that are eligible, you know, as far as severity of diseases, in the sense of they're not able to access vaccine. So whether that's transportation or computer, you know, we're looking at that whole, you know, like.
But I don't know how you'd get to that population if he's not already in the county program. You know what I mean? Like, could you approach doctors and say, hey, you know?
Well, eventually what's going to happen is that, as like your flu, if you go back a number of years ago when there was a shortage of flu vaccine, you know, there was, you know, more demand than supply. Okay. And then as more vaccine became available, you saw it in doctors' offices, you saw it at pharmacies. So that's the plan moving ahead with COVID-19. So it very well may be his healthcare provider will eventually get that vaccine, because it'll be.
And any idea how quickly that might happen?
No, I think what's going to happen is like now we have a third vaccine, you know, it's J&J vaccine, you know, is here and it's being distributed. We also have federal FQHCs, our community health centers, are going to be, you know, receiving vaccine from the federal government that won't affect our allocation. So eventually what will happen is that there'll be more doses just by the fact that their doses are going to be received from different sources other than the state allocation. So we do believe that we're going to be receiving more and more vaccine as time goes on.
Okay, thank you.
The last question is from Joyce Molyneux. We're going to return Ms. Bruschetti to an attendee and lift Ms. Molyneux to a panelist. Ms. Molyneux?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Joyce.
The site itself is still questionable because you still can't get through that site. And I try it myself on the times that we're allowed to do it, as well as several other people, since we're all in the same office, which is Atlantic City. The site also does ask you questions when you're signing up about your age, race, and et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, okay, so it does, Ms. Molyneux, ask about underlying conditions? Like if,
Yes,
okay, so it
yes,
does do that. Okay,
yes.
so that might answer your
That's
question.
fine. That
Okay.
all works out perfect.
Okay,
Yes. It's just that you cannot get on there once you get in the waiting room,
okay,
it's like 5,000 people ahead of you in a waiting room that is not supposed to open until a certain time. So I'm
okay,
not sure how that's working and why. And we're all saying that. I'm just a speaker, and I'll bring it to you like we're saying in our office. What I also would like to find out, since they do ask you about your race, who's getting the totals of what race has been vaccinated? Because I've yet to hear anyone give a total out on races.
that,
What race is that?
Ms. Milano, that does appear on the New Jersey COVID-19 dashboard. There's a tab with vaccination, and it actually, it will give it a statewide total, and it'll give each county total. And in that, it'll break down, number of first doses administered, second doses administered, but also it does give a breakdown of race.
So when you're giving out the totals, why don't you give out the totals of the race? You don't have it?
Well, it's actually, the totals are actually, well, I would have to report it from the COVID dashboard. It's available daily. I mean, that dashboard, that number of vaccinations administered is updated daily at about 9 a.m. in the morning. And so that's where it is to get the most recent data.
Okay, so what I'm saying to you is everybody's not going to go on that dashboard. Maybe some
Right.
people listening here that are listening in, and they will know when you give your report what race is
I think if, okay, I can,
especially for our county.
okay, I did look at it. Let me just see if my memory was, I believe it was between 7 to 8% Asian so far, 5% African American. I think it was 52% white, and there's a lot that are unknown, like 22%. Like, so we're not really sure. People don't report on their race or don't want to report on their ethnicity. So that is a dilemma that we're trying to work through. And so those numbers that I gave you, really what's missing is a lot of information because people just fail to, for whatever reason, they don't want to report it, even though they may be asked, but they're not reporting it. So what
because on there, they do ask you for it. Now, what I want to find out is when you're giving the report to the county.
Okay.
From what race in our county, I like to know the percent, not just the percentage, the numbers of each race in our county.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Sure, that's not a problem. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Milano. Do we have any other questions from the audience?
That concludes the questions, Chairwoman.
Okay, thank you very much, Pat Diamond, once again for all your hard work. And
sure, not a problem. Stay healthy. Take care.
Too. Okay, that brings us to ordinance number 1.
An ordinance of the County of Atlantic authorizing and adopting an assessment on certain services furnished by hospitals located within the county's borders for the purpose of increasing funding to support the provision of necessary services by such hospitals to low-income citizens and provide new fiscal resources to the County of Atlantic. Final reading.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, motion been made and second. Since it's a final reading, we're also going to open up to the public, but at this time, do I have any questions or comments from the commissioners?
Chairwoman, just want to make mention that the budget subcommittee did go through this in depth last week. and did have a number of questions answered, and kind of got a pretty good graphic of kind of how all the money is flowing between federal, state, and local governments. So I think it really helped clear all of our minds up. And we felt good about the program once we had that discussion. So I just wanted to make the board aware that we did have an in-depth discussion on it, and I came out feeling favorable. I'm not sure if any of the other committee members want to comment on that discussion.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do I have any other questions or comments from the commissioners?
Madam Chair, I'd just like to say it was a great discussion. It was in depth. We really got into the topic, and while it looks like a bit of a Rube Goldberg with the money going from spot to spot to spot, the only way this can happen with the federal government's assistance is by adopting this model, apparently. So now that we understand the working parts, I think the committee was unanimous in supporting it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do I have any other comments or questions from our commissioners?
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
Comment?
Yep. Commissioner Days?
Yeah, I just want to say my only hesitation, and it was cleared up in subsequent meetings, was the seemingly convoluted process of how the money actually comes back to the hospitals.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were being asked to make this payment during COVID, when I know that selective surgeries and a lot of people were being laid off, and hospitals weren't, making the money that they had been making. So, that was my initial concern, and I think a lot of that was addressed with the subsequent meetings. So, just wanted to say that.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. I think I heard Commissioner Bertino. Did I?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. Just the only comment I had after our discussions, and we're all alluding to the same meetings. My biggest concern was that the dollars that were being taken here in Atlantic County were going to come back to Atlantic County. And I think when we discussed all that and the particulars of it, that was made. We made the case that that's what's going to occur, because otherwise there's really no benefit for us to do something if we're not sure it's going to benefit us here in Atlantic County, since as part of the pilot program, we're taking the step to try this program out. So I'm more comfortable with it this time. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bertino. Do I have any other commissioners, any comments or questions? No, seeing none. Do we have
No,
any-
yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't see
That's
you.
okay. I was muted. The big takeaway for me from the in-depth budget committee meeting was that starting in July, the county's going to get from July to December more than $1 million, and it's going to be a $2 million a year revenue stream for the county. So that was the important news for me.
Yeah, I think it's 5 years, right? 5-year pilot.
I'm not positive.
Well, we'll get the answer.
Yes.
Jerry, is that
Thank
what
you.
it is? Jerry? Oh, you're muted, Jerry.
Yeah, we will have an intergovernmental agreement with the state to collect these funds, and our consultants are on. If you have any questions, they're both on, Ashlyn and Miss Hyman and Miss Facuna.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions or concerns from the commissioners? Okay, seeing none. Do we have anybody from the audience?
Yes, Lori Herndon would like to speak. We'll raise her from an attendee to a panelist.
Yes. Good afternoon. Can you all hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes, my name is Lori Herndon. I'm the president and CEO of Atlantic Care, and I also reside in Brigantine. And with me today is Huck Kim, our chief financial officer. I'd just like to thank you for the time to address the board in the ordinance for the ordinance of evaluation of 12021. And I just want to, highlight a few things. As you know, Atlantic Care has 2 acute care hospitals and a federally qualified health center in Galloway and Atlantic City, a satellite emergency room in Hamilton, and many other locations across our region where we provide care to our Atlantic County community. We have more than 5,600 proud employees, and the vast majority of them reside in Atlantic County. The County Option Hospital Fee Pilot Program is designed to help ensure individuals with low income have access to necessary medical services and provide participating counties with new fiscal resources to help serve their residents. The Ordinance 12021 will implement that program for Atlantic County. As we all know, COVID-19 has wreaked havoc on our local economy. And while our county has been in the top tier of those with the highest dependence on Medicaid for some time, this year, unfortunately, we have seen a 15.9% increase in that enrollment. That puts our county population dependent on Medicaid at 30%. We are proud of the work we do at AtlanticCare to serve our community. And as our county safety net hospital, AtlanticCare provides a disproportionate share of hospital services to the and underinsured population in Atlantic County. And we provide 5 times more than any other hospital in our county. In providing this care, AtlanticCare incurs costs that are not covered by reimbursement from Medicaid or from charity care. In the 2 full years before the pandemic, AtlanticCare provided $112 million of unreimbursed medical care for the vulnerable population. This ordinance is so important to help us continue to provide needed care for the low-income members of our community. The hospitals in Atlantic County will receive a net annual increase of $33 million of additional Medicaid payments. This infusion of funding at this critical time would not be possible without this program. The funding formula of this program is calculated on the number of Medicaid days each facility provides. This ensures each hospital receives its fair share of funding for the care provided to the Medicaid population. Atlantic County will also receive $2.4 million to help support its residents. The additional funding from this program will allow us to continue to carry out our mission to provide quality health care to the most vulnerable of our community, regardless of their ability to pay. Every new dollar will be immediately reinvested to our community. I'd like to thank you for your consideration of this program, and we urge the board's approval of the ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hurden. Thank you for all you do and your commitment to our community. Do we have any other comments from the public?
No, Chairwoman, that's the end of the comments.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, before you call the vote,
Yes.
can I, let me, if I may, weigh in on Ms. Lori Hearn's comments, and certainly I would be remiss, and I'm pretty sure I can almost speak for probably, if not all of my colleagues, of the outstanding job that AtlanticCare has done, that is doing, and how they continue to work very closely with our county health department, with Pat Diamond and others, and facilitating the mega site at the convention center, et cetera. I had an issue the other day with a lady with health issues. I called Laura, and she was able to get the lady in to get the shot effectively very quickly. Probably was, again, as I stated earlier, at the right place at the right time. But be as it may, it's just that she's so accessible, and that her staff is doing such an outstanding job trying to make sure everybody in Atlantic County is able to get the shot if in fact they want it, knowing that the mega site is just not for Atlantic County, but to do our part in Atlantic County to make sure those who want it can get it if it's indeed available. So I would have been remiss if I didn't thank her publicly for what she continued to do, her entire staff, in partnership with the county health department. I think, again, I would venture to say on behalf of all of my colleagues, I think they would agree that we continue to thank you for what you continue to do for all of us.
Thank you, Commissioner. And thank you very much for being here this evening, Ms. Herndon. Okay, roll call.
Chairwoman, Michelle Brunetti had one more question.
Oh, okay.
She says, may I ask Ms. Herndon how much AtlanticCare has to pay upfront to receive the extra funds later?
Is Ms. Herndon still on?
Yes. We're just confirming, so I give you the right number. 22 million.
Is that the final question we have?
That's the final question that she has typed in. How will you get that money? I'm sorry, there was another question behind that.
That one's probably best for the Iman folks to define because it's quite a process.
Hi, this is Barbara Hyman.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi. Yeah, so the assessment funds, the hospitals will provide the assessment funding up front out of whatever revenues they have available. And the turnaround time between when they pay the assessment and then they receive the increased Medicaid reimbursements back should be fairly short so as not to cause too much cash flow problems.
Okay. Any further questions from our audience or the attendees?
Ms. Bruschetti, was that your last question? You've been raised.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Well, so does that mean, if I'm understanding, you said the net increase is in the 30 million. So if you put 22 up, you would get 50 some and your net increase would be in the 30s. Am I interpreting that right?
Barbara, would you be answering that?
I can answer that. Yes. So they will, Atlantic Care would put up about 22 million in fees and get back about 49 million. So yes, that's how you're interpreting it correctly.
Thank you. Do you have any other further questions?
I have no further questions now.
No? Okay. Then we're done with the attendees. So roll call.
Ballas,
Yes.
Bertino,
Yes.
Corsi,
Yes.
Days,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Gatto,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
and Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, that brings us to resolution 122.
Amending resolution number 390, adopted July 2, 2019, an Atlantic County fiscal year 2019 annual action plan to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development for the Community Development Grant Program and the Home Investment Partnership Program. Funded amount $704,535. Net increase $2,878,767.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, motion made in second. Any comments or questions from the commissioners? Seeing none, do we have any comments from the public?
No comments from the public.
Okay, roll call, please.
Ballas,
Yes.
Bertino,
Yes.
Corsi,
Yes.
Days,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Gatto,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
and Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 123, please.
Grant application to the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety for funding the 2021 Distracted Driving Crackdown Program, amount not to exceed $40,000.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made in second. Any comments from the commissioners?
Chair,
Commissioner Ballas?
yeah, can we put Michelle Brunetti on mute so her typing is interrupting the speech?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was muted.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments from our commissioners? Okay, seeing none, any comments from the public?
No comments from the public.
Okay, roll call, please.
Ballas,
Yes.
Bertino,
Yes.
Corsi,
Yes.
Days,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Gatto, Gatto. Okay, she's shaking her head. Risley
Yes.
and Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 124, please.
Grant application to the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety for the 2021 Click It or Ticket Mobilization Program, amount not to exceed $35,000.
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Motion made in second. Any comments from the commissioners? Seeing none, any comments from the public?
No comments from the public.
Okay, roll call, please.
Ballas,
Yes.
Rutino,
Yes.
Corsi,
Yes.
Days,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Gatto,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
and Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 125, please.
Grant acceptance from the New Jersey Department of Children and Families through the Human Services Advisory Council grant, funded amount $61,837, in-kind match $7,006.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion made in second. Any comments from the commissioners? Seeing none, any comments from the public?
No comments from the public.
Okay, roll call, please.
Ballas,
Yes.
Rutino,
Yes.
Corsi,
Yes.
Days,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Gatto,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
and Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 126, please.
Grant acceptance from the New Jersey Department of Children and Families for the 2022 Human Services Advisory Council, funded amount $30,919, in-kind match $3,503.
Move.
Second.
Motion made in second. Any comments from the commissioners? Seeing none, any comments from the public?
No comments from the public.
Okay, roll call, please.
Ballas,
Yes.
Rutino,
Yes.
Corsi,
Yes.
Days,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Gatto,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
and Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 127, please.
Grant acceptance from the New Jersey Department of Human Services, Division of Family Development for the 2021 Social Services for the Homeless Program Grant. Amount not to exceed $571,600.
Move.
Second.
Motion made in second. Any comments from the commissioners? Seeing none, any comments from the public?
No comments from the public.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Ballas,
Yes.
Rutino,
Yes.
Corsi,
Yes.
Days,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Gatto,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
and Kern.
Yes, motion carries. That brings us to our professional services contracts, Resolution 128.
Amending Resolution Number 373, adopted August 18, 2020, a professional services agreement with ACOM USA Incorporated for the review and update of a multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan to extend the term date only, no additional cost.
Move.
Second.
Motion been made in second. Any commissioner comments? Seeing none, any comments from the public?
No comments from the public.
Okay, roll call, please.
Ballas,
Yes.
Rutino,
Yes.
Corsi,
Yes.
Days,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Gatto,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
and Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 129.
Professional services agreement with PharmaCare Incorporated for pharmaceutical consulting services for Meadowview Nursing and Rehabilitation Center, amount not to exceed $30,200.
Move.
Second.
Motion been made in second. Any commissioner comments? Seeing none, any comments from the public?
There's no comments from the public.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Ballas,
Yes.
Rutino,
Yes.
Corsi,
Yes.
Days,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Gatto,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
and Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 130, please.
Professional services agreement with Atlantic Care Physician Group, PA, and Health Med Associates, PC, doing business as Health Med Urgent Care for the provision, post-offer pre-employment physicals, and associated diagnostic testing. amount not to exceed $34,225.
Move.
Second.
Motion made in second. Any commissioner comments? All right. Seeing none, any comments from the public?
No comments from the public.
Okay, roll call, please.
Ballas,
Yes.
Bertino,
Yes.
Corsi,
Yes.
Days,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Gatto,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
and Kern.
Yes, motion carries. That brings us to our competitive contracts, Resolution 131.
Renewal competitive contracts with various vendors for the provision of home care services under Division of Welfare and State Respite Grant Programs, amount not to exceed $350,138.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made in second. Any comments from the commissioners? Seeing none, any comments from the public?
No comments from the public.
Okay, roll call, please.
Ballas,
Yes.
Bertino,
Yes.
Corsi,
Yes.
Days,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Gatto,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
and Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Resolution 132, please.
Amending Resolution Number 607, adopted December 1, 2020, a competitive contract with Rehab Professional Services Incorporated for the provision of physical, occupational, and speech therapy services to the residents of Meadowview Nursing and Rehabilitation Center to extend the term date. Net increase $80,000.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made in second. Any comments from the commissioners? Seeing none, any comments from the public?
No comments from the public.
Okay, roll call, please.
Ballas,
Yes.
Bertino,
Yes.
Corsi,
Yes.
Days,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Gatto,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
and Kern.
Yes, motion carries. Now we're into our bid contracts, Resolution 133.
Bid contract with Peterson Service Company Incorporated to provide maintenance and repair to the building management system, automatic temperature control, and energy conservation control system for Atlantic County buildings. Amount not to exceed $137,550.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made in second. Any comments from the commissioners?
Just one, Madam Chair.
Yes, please. Commissioner
I don't
Bertino.
have the detail sheet. How many years is the contract for?
It's a 2-year contract, Commissioner.
Thank you, Jerry.